As I think about my ethical core and how it came to be, very early in my career, I lived through a series of corporate scandals, including the Enron era, what ultimately manifested itself in some very strong governmental regulation through the enactment of Sarbanes-Oxley, and being in the accounting profession, seeing the way in which the problematic actions of a few impacted the confidence of the country in the business community as a whole, that has stuck with me. And frankly, many of those lessons learned early on continue to drive my thought process and my decision making today. When I think of ethical leadership, I immediately turn away from any notion of having a specific set of rules or a checklist, because it's almost impossible to instill into some simplistic format the incredibly complex decisions and challenges that come up in the real world that often exist in a broader context, that don't lend themselves to a simple or mechanical answer. Compliance is very important in the business community, and there are certain rules and regulations that aren't subject to each individual making their own judgment as to whether they would do it one way or another. But compliance is only the baseline. And frankly, much of what drives the perception of whether businesses are operating through an ethical lens is well beyond actually achieving the minimum and holding oneself to a higher standard. And frankly, many of the most important decisions that arise don't fit within a compliance framework. They require a higher order of analysis and intellectual rigor to ultimately come to the right answer in what is a much more subjective and less well-designed framework.